Go live on our YouTube.
Antarctica, maybe.
Yeah, Chicago's been known to
Party.
pull that nonsense. Yeah.
He said. At least our stuff.
Contacts.
Do you want
The in between.
Yes.
Come on, Mom, you raise no dummy.
I don't have that.
Must be something wrong with eating the system and the line.
We do, everything.
One less.
Sure that doesn't sound. Nah.
Fuel school.
I think we're ready.
All right, well, let's get this show on the road. I'll call this meeting to order. And we're gonna start with some introductions. My name is Adrian De Leon. I'm representing the county outside of city limits. And let's go around.
Barbara Cappy, Dora, Small Cities in the Dora Corporation. Shane Brownfield, I'm Sammy's deputy.
Kurt Ben, we're Coos Bay.
Carol Benson, representing North Bend in city. Claire Martin.
Patrick Franks, and I'm not really sure.
You're gonna be North Bend, outside of city limits, yeah.
Christine Kingsbury, Bannon Library.
Teresa Lucas, Tokyo Library.
Shirley Young, Lakeside Library.
Sammy Pearson, Coos Bay Library.
I'm Stacy Nix, the ESO administrator.
Okay, and then we've got online here.
Letty and Haley.
Okay, start with Haley.
Good afternoon. I'm Haley Lagacy, and I'm the director at the North Bend Library.
Thank you, and Letty.
I'm here, Letty from the Dora Library.
All right, welcome everybody. It's been a while since we've had a meeting here. Can't tell you if that's a good or bad thing. Let's see, do we have any agenda changes before we get moving here?
I did update the minute on your sheets because apparently I didn't change it when I did it. So it said September of 2024, but that wasn't correct. So now it's March 18th.
All right, thank you. So then kind of our only real action item, order of business, is approval of the minutes from March of 2025. Is there a motion for that?
Move to approve the minutes for March.
Thank you. There's a second.
I'll second
Right, thank you, Kurt. Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So that passes. Thank you, everybody. And then next up is public comments. Do we have any public comments? Okay, moving on. Old business. Anything for old business? All right, we are flying. So new business. First up is duties of ESO.
There's-
Times the world.
This person.
they're in your packet there. I went ahead and outlined all of the duties that the ESO staff does. We have a lot of new board members and we haven't went over this in a long time. So I don't know, if everybody had a chance to look that over. If you have any questions about any of it, just kind of goes over what my general duties are, outreach, what my outreach technician does, my interlibrary loans technician does, the courier driver does, and then just programs that ESO is responsible for each year. That's just kind of informational for you guys.
All right, any questions for Stacy? All right, then we'll move on to the next item, which is the ESO fiscal year 2026 budget overview.
And that is the next spot. We're actually, the city of Coos Bay got me the personnel stuff and everything and their numbers pretty quickly this year. So we're actually ahead of schedule with this. We usually don't necessarily get this meeting where I can get input from the board on the budget before we go ahead and get it already finalized for the county. So, if anybody has any questions on any of those items that they would like me to go over, and any input that you guys might have on that ESO budget for this upcoming year.
I thought you were gonna go over the whole thing.
You want me to go over the whole thing like I usually do?
Yeah.
Okay. So, let's see. So we have a carryover this year of 225,000, which is down from last year. The amount that ESO,
For new folks, explain what the carryover is.
oh, sorry. So the carryover, we don't get our check from the county until November, sometimes early December. So the carryover is our remaining funds from the year prior that we carry into this year, in order to make sure that all of our bills and everything are paid at the beginning of the year before we get that first check. So it covers basically all the expenses from July till that first check comes in late November, early December.
And about how much, less carryover is there this year than last?
Last year was 350 and this year's 225.
Oh,
So it went down some.
yeah.
That should still be plenty for us to be able to maintain that budget before we get that first check though. And then what ESO takes from the county tax base this year will be for $847,308. And that's a 4% increase over last year. The interest is set by the city. And then the rest of the income there for a total of $1,136,208. And then moving down into our expenses, we had a 1% increase in personnel over last year. And then when you get down into does anybody have any questions yet?
I kind of.
Yeah.
Probably ask the same question every year, but clearly I haven't remembered. Other financing sources, lease financing proceeds, would you kind of go into that just a little?
Yeah, so
And that one below it too.
the lease financing proceeds.
These are two changes in accounting law,
Oh, okay.
and they were normally absorbed in other areas, but now governments have to pull subscriptions, so what's the subscription you have?
But I was just curious how that became revenue rather than the cost.
It is
About,
accounting magic.
okay.
Yeah.
They've explained it to me.
Balance
That's
it
where it
out.
goes in there.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
It is,
That was
it makes sense when they explain it, and then it goes
uh-huh.
right out of my head.
probably why I keep.
And then
asking.
the actual subscriptions, we'll talk about, the way that the city's doing certain subscriptions now, we go through a government program, so we actually do earn interest on those. But there's certain qualifications, so that gets down into when we get down into the subscription principal and interest down at the bottom of our materials and services, then that will kind of is what balances that out. And then I break that down on what those are.
Comes in on one side, goes out on the other.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and then materials and services. There wasn't a whole lot of changes. Our contractuals, our increase wasn't as major as it usually is. Because all of our contractuals are our vendors and everything, and they all have 3 to 7% increases for their services every year. One of our main contractuals, which you'll see on not the next page, but the page after that, I believe is where the contractuals are. I got the tape. One of the main ones you'll see that is not on there anymore is the Executech Microsoft 365 hosting, and that was $25,000 a year. That's now fallen down into that subscription plan, which is pulled out separately because that's one of the things that qualifies for the government subscription plan. So that in itself made less in this materials and services contractual part. So that's one of the main reasons that one's down. But you can also see where everything dropped down. There were several other ones that were moved down there. Adobe was moved over there. Backstage, we don't have to have a huge budget for that anymore because we're not doing our authority control like we used to with them for our catalog until we get our catalog all fixed. Kind of a mess right now. So once we get that doing, then we'll add that back in. But as of right now, that one's not needed. There's some other ones that are big changes in the contractual. Does anybody have any questions about any of those contractuals?
Are the contractuals paid like earlier in the year? Is that the reason why? Well, I guess what,
Most of the contractuals, yes, they're paid annually. So we'll pay them at the beginning of the fiscal year.
that's the reason why this year, 25 to 26, we're already 143,000. It's because those got paid.
Yeah.
Paid early. Okay.
Excuse me. Yeah, that's the main category where things are paid annually instead of monthly.
Thank
So
you.
kind of, yeah, it'll balance out as we go with that.
I'm trying to figure out why the large increase for small equipment and.
I'm not there yet.
Or automobile parts.
We'll get there. Yeah, yeah, you jumped ahead a little bit. And then, so is everybody okay with the contractuals part of it? Okay, moving down to internet, we have 2 providers. All of the libraries are under DFN except Powers because we don't have fiber lines out there yet, so they use ether fiber through Ziply. And these numbers are actually quite low because we use E-rate for our internet. So the E-rate program pays 80% of our internet. As long as we can keep E-rate, those will go down. If we happen to lose E-rate, all those numbers go up. This is only 20% of what the actual fees would be for internet. Data processing and supplies. We, several years back, started using RFID tagging for all the libraries. And the libraries actually pay for their own RFID tags. However, the company that we buy them from has started doing bulk ordering. So ESO is now covering the cost of those upfront. And then as the libraries need the RFID tags, they buy them from ESO like our barcodes. So I have put that now into this budget. That's why that one went up from 2,000 to 5,000. We buy them, we'll spend about $3,000 each year on the RFID tags that the libraries can purchase from us. Like they do the barcodes already. And we made the first purchase this year of those, and that was $2,800. Library materials. Let's see. The way that we have been purchasing in all of the so the consortium for digital is a statewide consortium. And the main way that we've been buying those digital books on Overdrive or Libby or Library to Go, those are all different names for the same thing. It has been cost per cert, where you pay per title. And a lot of the libraries are getting away from that due to cost and the way that it's explained to the end user, the patrons, through Overdrive is not very explanatory. So a lot of them were getting messages that it's available, but it's not available for you because it puts a limit on the amount that they can have of those each month. So I've dialed back those cost per certs and am starting to buy more stuff in person. So what is actually available to our patrons is not as large of a collection, but it's a better collection and it'll be more based upon what the patrons are actually asking for instead of just a big bulk of random books. And by doing that, I believe that I will be able to actually save money in that. By providing less, but providing more of what they actually are asking for. So that budget actually went down $5,100 or 10% this year. And then down to we had camera. There we go. Now everybody can actually see us on the camera. Last year in equipment maintenance, we had Biblioteca, which is the company that we use for our RFID tagging. And ESO purchased basically the first round of the tagging pads for all of the libraries that didn't already have it. And the $1,600 a year was the warranty service on that was not, it wasn't, I didn't feel it was fiscally responsible because we didn't actually ever use the warranty service. So I went ahead and took that out this year. We still get the service from them. It's just not as immediate as it would need to be, but they still have the libraries for the pads that they could purchase on their own and the other equipment that they have, they could get service on those as well. So they will still have the working stuff without us having to pay that extra fee that's not really being utilized. And then the Aspen support, which is for our end user catalog page. So OPAC, which is what the patrons see, the Aspen Discovery page. That falls into the subscription, government subscription program as well. So that's why it was removed. It's the $7,900, and that was removed from that and put in the subscription field that we'll get to in a bit. And because of that, we had the overages for Executech, which is our IT service, at $3,000 a year. We rarely go over on hours, so I deducted that from 3,000 down to 500, which should be plenty to cover any overages that we may have. And that's pretty much.
What's the difference between Executech contract and Executech MIDS?
So Executech contract is our bulk of our hours with Executech. And then the MIBS is part of our service, their service to us qualifies for E-rate. And so they have to split out the hours that E-rate will cover. So the parts where it's the Executech MIBS, they pay E-rate or USAC through E-rate pays 80% of that. So that way we're not paying as much for IT as, but they don't cover everything. They only cover specific things. So E-rate, Executech had to divide out the hours to put where they need to be.
And the only reason I ask about the Executech MIDS is that it always seems like we budgeted a low amount, but then it actually gets charged a higher amount. So like for 25-26, we budgeted 7,600, but our actual so far is 19,950.
Yeah, so the 19,950 is, so they won't pull out, Executech isn't capable to put out an invoice to us and an invoice to USAC. So what happens is ESO pays it all up front, and then at the end of the year, we get an amount back from USAC. So we get a check back from them for like the 20 whatever $1,000.
Okay. So the budget, when we budget for your budget,
We're
actually
budgeting
just
for
budgeting what
20%.
you think your cost is going to be after your
Correct.
repairs. Okay.
Correct. So yeah, our actual, yes, we've spent 19,950, but once we receive that check back at the end of the year, it'll only be 20% of that. And then down in automotive, and these ones that I'm going over are, yeah, Patrick.
Quick question on that
Yeah.
last section, miscellaneous. actual 14,456. That's usually where my eye goes is.
Yeah,
Miscellaneous.
miscellaneous, so I have it in the I can get clarification from finance. But the way that because the way that they do it, sometimes when I pay certain things, it's for like a multi-year plan. And a lot of IT stuff is that way. So they will do on, how do I explain it? On my program that I have from them, they'll have like pulled from years prior and pop it back in, but the descriptions that they give me are very vague and I don't actually know which one of those things they go with. So I just have them categorized in a miscellaneous. They actually do belong in one of those fields. But with it being so early in the fiscal year, I haven't had a chance to like sit down with them and be like, what exactly is this one for? What exactly? Some of them I can decipher just on the amounts because I know them year to year. But that one was a little bit, yeah, so. And that's why I did propose 5,000 for that, is because it will be absorbed up above.
Mhm.
But,
Sort it out.
yeah. All right, and then down in automotive, there really wasn't many changes in this. I did, we did have Tower Ford. My bills for Tower Ford were kind of in that miscellaneous line item, and so I kind of separated them out this year. So that's why the miscellaneous went down 2,000 and now there's an actual line item for Tower Ford. This one is one that I do have it divided out per different items that we have, but that one is, that $10,000 is really fluid within that automotive budget. I mean, the tires and brakes might be more expensive one year than they are in the past, but I like to have a visual of where I actually have spent the things so that I know that the budget that I'm providing is doable.
Vehicles.
We have 3. We have a courier, a large transit courier that it delivers all the books throughout the county. And then we have an outreach courier, which is slightly smaller, that does books to all of like the nursing homes, and she delivers to our satellite carts, which are like discarded or donated books that aren't part of our catalog. And then we have a Jeep that's kind of just, it's technically my work Jeep, but it's used for whatever it needs to. So on the weekends, sometimes the person that does the courier on the weekends will drive that instead of the big truck for mileage, and she doesn't have that much to deliver. And so it's kind of just a float vehicle for when we need an extra one. And then down into projects, our tidal wave has become our summer reading. And I kept the budget where it was last year. Last year, I actually went over. Basically, the way that this is, because our summer reading happens right at the beginning. Part of it's in the last fiscal year, part of it's in this fiscal year, because it happens, you know, our fiscal year starts in the middle of the summer. So technically, for the performers we had last year, the 11,650 and the 11,200 portions of both of those were from this year. So it was right around like 17,000 is what I spent this year for performers. Maybe 18,000. I kept it at 15 just so that we have that buffer. The fees for people coming in, we don't have a lot of performers in our area for these things, so we have to bring them in from Southern Washington, the Rogue Valley down south, Portland, Eugene, Salem. So they all have travel expenses, and those travel expenses over the last couple of years have increased. So I try my best to make it as financially or fiscally responsible as possible by having one performer perform at several of the libraries instead of a different one at all of them, to make it more worth our while when it comes to those travel expenses. But that being said, we end up spending a lot more on travel than we do in actually the price of the performers, meaning we have less. So I like to keep that at that 15,000. My goal this year is to hopefully spend closer to 12. But that is there just in case. Because I don't know what these travel expenses are gonna go up again this year from last year, because they went up quite a bit from last year, from the year before, so. And then Carson Block IT audit. We're in the process of getting bids for a new IT provider this year. Starting with this fiscal year that we're talking about now, or this upcoming fiscal year. Carson Block is a consultant that consults on all things library. So technical services is a big one that he consults on, and he comes in and basically says, libraries should be able to do X, Y, and Z. This is what your IT department needs to do in order to accomplish that. Because a lot of times, especially in our small area, when we pull in these IT companies, they've never worked with library systems before. So what we provide for our patrons and what we need them to provide for us so that we can provide those to our patrons is different than the services they would normally provide to a corporation or an office staff or whatever. So we've been floating this Carson Block for about, and I think this is our 3rd year that it's been on here. We haven't used it in the years past, but we're still floating it because we're hoping that with us being able to switch IT providers this year, that we'll be able to bring in Carson at the beginning so that he can sit down with the IT and we can get it all sussed out and performing correctly at the beginning. Because that's normally the problems that we're having, is that when our IT companies come in, they don't understand what we need. We don't understand what they're saying. And so they set up things in a way that is not functional for us. And then we spend the next 3 or 4 years trying to fix the things to make it what we need. So this year we're wanting to spend that money to bring in Carson to say, this is what they need. This is how I need you to set it up in more of a tech language that the IT guys will understand, but in library language that we'll understand, so that it all happens cohesively.
That doesn't make sense. Why have them do something if they don't understand library? There's gotta be somebody out there.
There
who
really
who
aren't a
speaks
lot of,
library in IT.
yeah, there really aren't a lot of tech support companies in the Coos Bay, North Bend area that can do larger businesses. There's not a lot out there. I've run into this problem in other areas before as well. I know Executech is relatively new to this area. There used to be a couple other companies that did some IT services for small businesses, and they've kind of disappeared over the years.
But it sounds like we are educating them. So if we're educating them, why are we paying them? Why aren't they?
Because they're providing the services. That's why we need a consultant to help us get everything set up the way that it's needed to begin with. Instead of them setting up our library system as any other small business that they would normally do, we're getting it set up in a way that is functional for libraries. That's why you hire a consultant. We are the only libraries in this area. So if it's hard to find an IT consultant that's worked with libraries in our area when we are the only libraries in our area. So therefore we have to let them know what we need in order for them to set things up in a way that is functional for us.
There's nobody out of Portland or any
We have to help.
Pacific Northwest or.
We are currently the company that we're
You
using.
have so many different ways to communicate nowadays.
The company that we're actually using now is a Pacific Northwest company. And when we hired them, we originally had to bring them to our area from Utah. They're now in Washington is their base that we're operating out of. But we're trying to, but that doesn't mean that they still know how to work with libraries. Libraries is a completely different type of organization than most business organizations that IT would normally work with. A lot of places hire in-house, like an in-house IT person, which is something that we are looking into, but that has its own problems in that one person now has to work at 8 libraries that are all half an hour to 45 minutes apart. It's hard for them to manage that. And we work our libraries function in a way that we need to have a tech that is available immediately that can come into our libraries. So if we were to pull an IT company that's based out of Portland or Washington and they don't have techs here, then if our internet goes down or our catalog goes down or there's a security breach, we don't have anybody that can immediately be in our library to fix those problems, which is what we're looking for with having somebody new come in that we have easy access to.
So, now that you've trained Executech, why are you getting rid of that?
Because we haven't
How
really,
long do you have, Kathy?
yeah, we haven't really
And I
been
would
able
say
to
we've
train
trained
them.
them.
So the directors are in agreement with
100%.
changing.
Oh, yeah, this stems from the directors. This doesn't,
Okay.
it's not coming from
Okay.
me. This comes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a lot of years of piecemealing things together and doing things different ways at different libraries. And that's one of the main reasons that we've discussed this Carson block, because he comes in and says, do this way. And you do this, you set up this way at all the libraries, and he works with the techs to get everything in the language that they understand. Because we can say, well, we need like wireless printing. We need Cybrarian to do wireless printing for all of our public computers. We've been saying that for how many years? 5?
At least 10.
Ten.
I retired.
And every time right, when Barbara was still a librarian. So, and we've been saying this for years, and we keep getting back from our tech saying, oh, well, with the way that it's structured, it's not possible. But we talked to Carson, and Carson's like, well, it's there because it's possible. It's just the way that your infrastructure was originally built is not, it doesn't flow with that.
I see.
So we basically have to pull in a new person, a new IT company, somebody like Carson. Doesn't have to be Carson. That's just who we've consulted with in the past, and he's good when it comes to this type of stuff. And does a lot of the consulting for the Oregon libraries. To come in and say, hey, this is what they're needing. He meets with us to get what we need, and then he knows how to tell them how to integrate it into our system and build our system for us from a tech standpoint. So that we don't have to have them tell us what we need, the tech company to tell us what we need, set it up, and then we say, no, that's not what we need. Can we fix it? And then they'll fix it at Cheryl's library, but then somebody else fixes it from the company at Teresa's library, and they do it completely different. So now those two library systems don't communicate the way that they should.
Okay, well, thank you.
So, yeah.
So Stacy, I guess, and for me, for simple terms, what you're doing is Carson comes in and they're your advocate to set up the system correctly with whoever gets the contract to be
Correct.
IT. So Carson helps with the setup. The new IT company basically does the ongoing maintenance.
Correct. And if it's set up correctly, then it should make everything moving forward run more smoothly instead of like we are now with Executech, where we're constantly having things break that shouldn't be breaking because they weren't set up correctly to begin with.
Will,
That's the ultimate goal.
will they also, Carson Block, actually help vet the ones that have
I
applied?
don't know if he provides any, I don't know. I would have to ask him to see if,
It'd be kind of nice.
yeah,
Give you some input.
yeah, that is true, definitely. And there are a couple, I mean, like I said, we're looking into just hiring an in-house tech. That's one of the options that we're exploring right now. We're also, I have reached out to several different IT companies that are prevalent in our area and working with businesses in our area already and have techs locally, that I've gotten them a scope of work for them to work on proposals for us. And then there's also another, what would you call it, or Lane government, like an organization out of Lane County that can access a bunch of different services, and one of those services is IT. So I'm gonna be contacting them to see like if what we're needing IT wise is something that they could provide. So those are three kind of avenues in the IT realm that we're exploring and hopefully find something that will work better than what we've been working on.
Good questions, thank you.
Okay, and then and then other projects, we usually try and keep some money for other projects. For anything that comes up that the libraries want to do as a whole throughout the year. So this could be, I don't even know, like, what's an example of something that we can do?
I don't know, that's why we keep it, because we
Right.
never know.
Right. So anything that would be something that all the libraries would do together instead of like a program or something that each individual library would do. And then down to subscription principal, this is where that government subscription program that we're now a part of, these are different vendors that qualify for those services, that qualify for that program. So instead of them being in part of the budget up above, they've been pulled down there. And so Cybrarian is our public computer management system. So it's what logs people into the public computers and logs them out and eliminates all the information that they provided when they were using the computers. Executech Microsoft 365 is the Microsoft 365 Microsoft suite that we use for all of our staff computers. Adobe is what I use. That's just for the ESO administrator. I use it for accounting things and PDF stuff. Unique is a company that we actually started working with last year. It's for our text messages. We do text holds to our patrons now, and that all goes through that. And the 540 for that, or 550, is like our annual maintenance thing with them, so that they can keep subscription, I guess, with subscriptions. The Bywater Aspen is the one that I had talked about in one of the ones above that now moved down there. That's our OPAC, our patron side of the catalog that the patrons see and can request stuff on. Wix is our website for the Coos County libraries, and that's every 3 years, and it comes next year, which is why it's all blank. And then the interest is the interest that we get back from using this government subscription program.
So
That's pretty much it.
$936 is what you get back?
That's what we got back. That's what we got back that year.
Is that plus the 20% that they pay for internet or?
Oh, no, this is just, so the government program, E-rate is one thing.
Oh,
That's the
okay.
80% that they pay
Okay.
for, internet and certain parts of our tech services. And then there's a separate I can't remember what it's called, GovAB or something, is a government program that the city can run certain subscription things through. So that's
see.
different. So the government subscription program is what we got, the $936 back.
I see, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions on the budget? Anything you'd like us to consider when the directors meet regarding that?
I'm just glad the directors are getting together to talk about the budget. You know, CLB is a advisory group.
Yeah.
We're not directors.
Correct.
And so
Yeah, usually
when you explain the budget, I understand it kind of.
Yeah, usually what we do is the city gets the things to me, the directors all meet, we go over it. And then they say, okay, the city says, okay, and then we bring it to you guys just to get like the final,
Mhm.
okay, but because I got the numbers so early in the
I
budget season
see.
this year, I figured I would bring it so that you guys could have a look at it before it's all hashed out,
I
just in
see.
case there's any input, because I don't usually get the opportunity to get any input from you guys before I say, here, this is it. Please say it's okay so I can take it to the VOC.
I like you explaining it, and I'm happy to see that ESO is taking a little bit of a cut.
Yeah, our actual overall budget, yes, we're taking 4% from the county this year. Which is actually, last year I did the math, and last year we took 10%. So we're actually down from what we took our increase last year, but our overall budget is a 7% decrease over last year. So I don't think that's ever happened in the history of ESO since I.
Nothing recently.
25? No, not since. So,
You've been here
Um,
25 years for.
well, I started in
ESO?
2020. I've been
Oh,
with,
okay.
I've been in this spot since 2020.
Yeah, okay,
So in the 5 years I've been here,
okay.
that we've never had a decrease. In
No,
yes.
no, we haven't.
It's usually, I think, like 20% increase.
Right.
So,
Yes.
So where are we in the process? You mentioned with regards to, with regards to the other library directors getting together. So did they get together before? today?
no,
Not this year.
Okay.
no.
They still,
Normally I don't get all these numbers until closer to the end of February. And then I went from the city. The city gives me all of the personnel numbers and the interests and the carryovers and all of that. And I don't usually get that until closer to the end of February. So that's when I sit down and I crunch all my numbers. And then at the beginning of March, we meet with the directors, they give their input. Then at the middle of March to the end of March, I take it to the CLB and I say, this is what we've come up with. Is this okay? They'll say yes. And then at the beginning of April, I submit it to the county. But I received the numbers back from the city a lot sooner this year. So I was able to have this informal view of the budget with the CLB to see if there's any input from them. Then we'll go to the directors meeting. And then if there's no change, and then the directors can then take it to their cities and boards and whatever they need to do, the ESO budget. So that, not that the cities have input on the ESO budget, but they can show them why ESO is taking what they are out of the tax base. They can start their budgets based off of what their estimate will be that they get. So we're just kind of working everything a little bit earlier this year. We're about a month or so early than last year. Or any year prior to
This is a bonus meeting,
that. This is the what?
a bonus
Bonus.
meeting.
Yeah, these, I don't usually meet with these guys with the budget until the end of March, usually,
Right,
middle
yes.
to end of
Yeah,
March.
I was surprised too,
Yeah.
to have the budget.
And we haven't met since this time last year.
Yes,
So I figured we need to have a meeting anyways to kind of give you guys an update on what's going on. And I have these numbers, so I'm like, I might as well go ahead and give you guys an.
I think it's
preview.
great that we're going over the budget now, and then the directors are going
Yeah.
over it, and then it's brought back to us.
Yep.
To see if there was any
Yeah.
real
And
change.
if there's not really any changes from today, then we'll probably just take it straight to the CLB, to the BOC.
No, still have to get these guys.
I do have to? Okay.
Yeah,
so
we
we'll
have
meet
to-
again in March.
Yeah, we have to vote.
Can we do like a tentative based on this if there's no changes?
No.
No? Okay, so we'll meet again in March. Sorry. Sorry, it was like sneaking it through. Okay. So yes, we'll meet again in March before I go to the BOC, which is usually like the first week of April. Unless they change it on me. And then I might just have to see you guys sooner.
Have to,
Well, no, but I might have to plan that sooner.
yes.
All right, any other questions on the budget? Thank you. Then, moving on to the fiscal year 2026 distribution percentage.
Any questions on those? So I'll kind of give like an overview. We're on our third year. What I'm proposing here is the third year of the new distribution. We went from 25% of the new formula, 75% of the old formula. Then the one that we're currently operating on is 50% of the old, 50% of the new. This is 75%, the proposed is 70% 75% of the new and 25% of the old. So I hope that makes sense.
So that's the upcoming fiscal year.
Yes, so this will be for the 26, 27. Yeah.
So I don't understand if they're already receiving 75% of their money, new money.
Mhm.
I don't understand why Dora has a -%. And even Myrtle Point.
That's the difference between last year and this year. What you're seeing, that the bottom percentage is the difference between last year's percentage and this year's percentage.
Okay,
What the in the blue is the percentage that they'll actually be getting from the tax
okay.
base.
So they still are getting a plus.
It's down from last year, but the funds should, the amount of funds we get should be higher, but the percentage they're getting from last year is a little bit lower.
Okay. I still don't understand that, but.
No. It's confusing.
Okay, any other questions on the distribution? Then moving on to CLB open seats.
All right, so Tara Johnson, which was our rural seat, has taken a library position at Dora Library. So she is no longer qualifies for, because she's an employee for a library, she no longer qualifies for her board seat. So that one is open. And rural is an unincorporated area outside of the Coos Bay and North Bend School District. Right? That's what we,
Yes.
yeah. So any unincorporated area in Coos County that is not part of the Coos Bay or North Bend School District.
So outside of any city's school district?
Yeah, so any of the school districts other than North Bend or Coos Bay. So basically, yeah,
Outside of Coquille?
as long as it's a rural, yeah, unincorporated is, yeah.
Okay.
Because the other would fall into the small city door. Those are all incorporated.
Okay.
We've lost our, people.
My camera keeps turning off. I must bump it. There we go. Letty is the only one still there. Haley had to duck out. So we're down here in the bottom. There's something. And then
Small pool to draw
also,
from.
yeah, and then also North. Oh, Carol, I think your second term expires.
I think next year,
Is it next year? Let me pull it.
but Lori Nordall's
Lori's
expired this.
expired and that was Patrick.
Right.
Replaced that. Let me see here.
I looked at the last printed sheet I had for the board members and it showed my term expiring in 22. But I'm still here in my second
Which would be
term.
26. So you would expire this.
Her term, not her.
Her term would expire. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, yes.
I believe.
Okay, let me pull up the website here. Coos Libraries. Org. That's not how you spell org. Yeah, it looks like 6/30 of 2026, Carol.
Oh, they do.
What's that?
And then yours expires, but you have you're available for a second term.
Okay. If you say so.
So
Yes, you are.
if you, yes, you are. So you can do a second term if you prefer, and the board's all good with that. And then, so Carol's second term would expire, so we lose you in June, after June. So we'll have, so basically we'll need to fill the rural seat, and then Carol's is in
North Bend in city.
in city. So we'll post that one. I have the rural one is already posted on the Coos Library site. It's on the main page. So, if any of the directors want, they can point people to that top one. Oh, apparently I have both of them on there already. I'm ahead of myself. So North Bend is the first one. The rural one is the second one on that Coos Library's site. Oh, no, I lied. That's the board meeting one. I don't have the rural one. I have the. Wait, is there another one? Oh, no, that is the rural one. Okay, the North Bend one I need to post. Outside of North Bend. Yeah.
Inside.
The unincorporated one that's on there is unincorporated.
Okay. Let's see, then let's move on to the ESO reports.
All right, so, you have all of my stats for all of my employees on them. Well, for my outreach and ILO. ILO is interlibrary loans. We pull books from around the United States for our patrons, and then we lend our books out to other libraries throughout the United States. So that's what those ILL stats are. And I think I have. The first one is the current one, the second one is last year's. But they like, well, that's really good. And then the Bookshares is our, those are satellite carts, so they're donated, discarded books that we put on carts throughout the community in more rural spaces where the people in those neighborhoods can't make it regularly into the library. So we still provide them with materials. They don't have to check them out. It's a read and return basis. So sometimes they'll donate things on those carts that my outreach technician will pick up and bring back and put into her circulation. The next one is the pop-up statistics, and those are the lobby stops that the outreach technician does. They're basically a lot of nursing homes throughout Coos County that she goes and she takes a little pop-up mobile library with actual items that are within the collection from a variety, from all of our libraries. She has kind of an array. It's usually large print items, large print, DVDs, audiobooks, things like that. And then they can kind of browse her carts like a little mini library, choose what they want. She checks them out to them. She goes back the next month, collects those, and rinse and repeat.
That's last year's statistics.
These are last year's, yeah. She hasn't gotten me her new ones yet. I'll have those for you in March when we meet again.
New friends.
New Friends is a memory care facility in, I think it's an Empire. New Friends? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's an Empire. Back off of Morrison, after that later. And then the year-to-date for our, the next is our digital content comparison, sorry. And those are databases that we have that ESO pays for that's available to all of the patrons throughout the county. So My Heritage is a genealogy site. Flipster is digital magazine subscriptions. Learning Express is like practice tests. What else does it have? Resumes, things like that. And then Gale, just bring Gale.
They're, ones that a lot of people use for schools and colleges, peer-reviewed articles, that kind of thing, for research purposes.
And that's one that we could potentially be losing.
Yes, that one's provided by the state.
It's provided by the state. We don't pay for it. So, we did.
LSTA money, or not, yeah, it's LSTA money that they get from the feds that, well, just leave that there.
So we have been discussing with as a consortium overall, so us and Curry County Library Directors, we did meet last week and we discussed different things that we can look into so we can still provide those services. Of course, it won't be free. We'll have to pay for them, but with us doing the two counties together and doing that as a consortium, hopefully we'll be able to get bigger discounts and have it'll be more likely for us to tap into different organizations that might not necessarily work with our rural area. So,
Is Gail used?
yes,
Yes.
Gail,
It looks like 105 for last year.
yeah.
Or year to
Says
date.
fiscal year to date, so half of the year.
Yeah, 105. But it's materials it's also materials that in order for us to remain as public libraries is required by the state for us to, we're required to provide certain particular services. And those fall into that category. So.
My child just renewed his library card so he can use it. He has made a research paper due. So those stats will go up.
Let's see, and then Mango is our language database, so you can learn different languages with Mango. Overdrive is our digital collection. And if you do look at the breakdown of that one, you'll see like the cost per search numbers have went down over the last couple of months because I've been slowly eliminating those in exchange for actually purchasing things, because that's what I told you guys that I'm trying to weed out more of those, because a lot of the other libraries, we've decided that it just is not. Originally, it seemed like a more fiscal way to get people as much as you could. Now, with us having used it over the last several years, it's costing more money and it's providing things that we don't necessarily use. So by cutting back on those, buying more materials, we're buying less, but we are providing our patrons with actual items that they're looking for and asking for. I think that's it for that one. And then down to, this is the current budget. Current budget as of December 31st, 2025, the last month. And we are 50% elapsed for the fiscal year. ESO has used 58% of the materials and services budget. You'll see a big one of 142%, and that was on the digital processing and duplicating, and that's what I bought those RFID tags to sell back to the libraries. We didn't budget it because they used to provide them for themselves until it was made way too expensive. So ESO's to be in the middleman with that now, because I'm able to buy and dispatch easier than them sitting on tags for years and years and years that they can't get to. And then contractuals is at 75%. That's most of those are paid annually, so they were paid at the beginning of the fiscal year. So that number is slowly coming back down into the realm of where it should be. Insurance is at 67%. That is from the city, I believe. We just make the one insurance check, is that annual? Yeah, so it was 75%, unless there's any things that come up. Library books and records, that number will not continue to climb at the rate that it has been because I pulled a lot of those cost per service out. So, that number, it says that we've used a lot more than we have, but I'm not going to be spending as much for the remaining part of the year, so it should balance out. And then the equipment maintenance contract, that's the one where we get the 80% for the one part of the IT services back at the end of the year. So a portion of that is always going to be higher until we get that check back. So that's actually substantially lower. And that equals 58% for the materials. Overall, though, we are at 39.7 for the total budget percentage of what I've used so far for the first half. Okay.
All right, any questions for the ESO reports? Okay, then let's get to our directors. Oh,
Wait.
Thank you.
I had to find what I was wanting.
No worries.
Sorry. Training.
Yeah.
Is that training for ESO or
That budget line item is for the county-wide,
county?
which we have not done since COVID.
Uh-huh. So, it's in the budget and then you don't use it and then it rolls over.
Yeah.
However,
if
that
so-
same amount, that same number
Correct.
rolls over, not another 5,000.
No, the
Yeah,
same number.
same
Yeah,
number.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not pulling $5,000 each year from a budget and accumulate.
Okay,
It's that same number rolls over. We've been talking as a director's group about actually having an in-service,
Which we desperately need.
which we desperately need because like I said, we haven't had one since COVID. It's just all of us sitting down and actually deciding what we're gonna do and when we're gonna do it and planning it out.
and
So.
it is in service, is it like you just get together and talk?
Day. Mhm.
Oh, you actually train?
Yeah, we do different, in the past, all us and Curry County, we all get together in Bandon. And then it's an entire day of like mini breakout sessions, lecture, breakout session trainings and different things. We've done what?
Cohort is always.
Always
Yeah,
cohort training.
Use cohort correctly.
This time we've talked about having like Microsoft 365 trainings, Microsoft Teams, which is the communication hub for Microsoft that we were given when we switched over to that by Executech, but nobody was really, this was the figure it out on your own. So we haven't really had any formal training on how to actually use the communication portion, which is the huge portion of Microsoft 365. So that, we've done weeding sessions, we've done all sorts of things.
Okay.
It's just kind of like a refresh, like an in-service, like a refresher, catch up on what needs to go. And it's a good way for the employees of all different libraries to get together and meet each other and.
So it's not just directors, it's
No,
directors
it's
and
the
staff?
whole staff. Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
I see.
The libraries usually close for the day.
Mhm.
Oh,
And
Sounds-
they probably have quite a few new staff members, something in
Yeah.
2020 that could benefit. from-
Staff.
Quite a few. We've actually probably had a lot come and go in that amount of time as well. But yeah, so we've kind of talked about changing it up a little this year and maybe using more tech resources or actually like filming the sessions so that people can have, quote unquote database they can go to and like rewatch things or see seminars that they didn't see previous or. Because there's often, it always happens when you do these breakout sessions where you have 3 things that you really want to do that are all scheduled at the same time. And then you have 2 blocks where it's like, well, none of those really. So this way we would have them so that everybody can go back and see everything. It's just the actual getting together and deciding when we're doing it and planning it out and doing that.
Sounds like a good winter project.
We usually do it in the fall.
It's always so cold when we do it.
Yeah, we were talking about the spring this time, but then we end up with ALA and budget season and all that. So, yeah.
We used to have it at the Marine Institute and where's that at? Charleston.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it's so cold enough.
Yeah, that is cold. Yeah.
Raining outside.
Be interesting to watch the fish while you're.
Oh, we're not watching the fish. We're just sitting there.
Fish are watching that.
So yeah, those are the different things that are on there and I don't usually spend them. But if I was to eliminate them on a year and then add them in the next year, then it's really gonna mess with the money that ESO is pulling from the county. Like it'll be lower this year, but then it'll be
Yeah.
twice as
I
much the
get it.
next year.
Yeah.
And we went the first 2 to 3 years that I was in this position, it was a lot of balancing because in years prior, the funds that ESO would take from the county, one year it would be $200,000, the next year it would be $900,000, and then it would be $400,000, and it really jumped
wow.
around a lot.
Yeah,
Because things were eliminated and then added back in, and so I've really tried to create a balanced budget, and yes, there might be things that don't get used every year, that only get used every couple of years, but by doing that, it's creating an even increase on what ESO is taking, a more even increase on what ESO is taking, so that the directors can actually have more grasp on what they're actually going to be able to work with throughout the year, which I'm hoping makes their budgeting then easier, because they actually know what they're gonna be working with,
right. Thank you.
so.
Okay, all right, now moving on to the director's reports. Now, let's see, I forget we do this is each director.
Yep.
Going through.
Yep.
Okay, well then let's start on this side.
Okay, probably some of the most exciting things, we've had about 5 new small grants, mini grants come through this month. So we're juggling, there's like anywhere between 1,000 to 3,000, and they're mostly for the collection, to build the collections. And new lighting put in our stacks. Our stacks were really, really dark. They were not LED, so our lifetime members, friends of the library, paid to have LED lighting put in, so now we can actually see the spine of the book when we're back in the stack. It's a plus for us. So just some things like that that are just kind of all come together at one time. Just otherwise pretty normal stuff. We're just business as usual, programs, checking things in and out. Keeping this desk covered.
So this month we have been doing a lot of weeding our collection and a lot of cleaning out cupboards and back rooms, and it's a little slow right now, so it's a good time to do that. We just started a new program, Blind Date with a Book, that a lot of libraries do. So that, trying to get all that together and ready, and had really good luck with my staff, haven't lost or gained any. Everybody's kind of consistent for a while, which is nice. But we're doing.
We had a Dolly Parton birthday party fundraiser for our Dolly Parton Imagination Library. We had Dolly Oki, and people love to sing Dolly songs.
Yes, they do.
So that was fun. I don't have the totals in yet, but we raised roughly $500 and got to hear a lot of Dolly singing. We are busy planning almost a year's worth of programming around the 250th anniversary of Declaration of Independence. So we start that in March and we'll go through until June of 27. It's more than.
Still have Letty online.
She's posted some, let me see if I can get this to come up here, so we can see what she said.
Sorry, all is well in Dora, but I'm overwhelmed.
Gotta go.
Gotta go.
Okay, thank you, Letty. Okay. And then I think our last item is our next meeting,
Which will be in,
March.
it'll be
sometime.
towards the end of March. I don't want to give you a date because I don't really know when the BOC meeting will be, but it'll be roughly 2 weeks for that. So middle to end of March.
All right, so be on the lookout for the notice in your email, and we'll hopefully get that set up without too much trouble. And that's it for our agenda. Thank you, everybody. Any last questions before we adjourn? We're adjourned.